So the president gives a speech, and honestly, we were 50-50 on it. We didn't know which speech he was going to give. Was it going to be about the economy? Was it going to be about Venezuela? Was it going to be about curtain number 3? It was about the economy, which means, once again, Tucker got it wrong. It's funny to say. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. The radio show is about to begin. Let's get to it. So the president takes to the microphone inside the White House, the Christmas decorations behind him. He's feeling all sorts of ho, ho, ho jolly. And he says, listen, this economy is awesome. I'm doing great work. All these things are going to work out. You don't worry about a thing, kittens. Daddy's got the wheel. Good night. Oh, the only thing true about that, it was the very loud voice. He was very loud. He was very, very loud. I don't think it was his best speech in terms of the presentation. But I think the president of the United States showed that he's listening to this show. We know that Scott Bessent wasn't pleased with me. I'm telling you that they're paying attention to the idea that they must get the message out. They have to get the message out to the people. And the message is, a lot is happening. A lot's coming down the pike. And I mean, here, take a look at what's going on with CPI.
The CPI, maybe coming in a little bit better than expected. 2.7%, a little light here. I'm just reading the headlines here. Year over year, 2.7. Ex-food and energy core, 2.6. So 0.4 off. That is a very good number here. And it really, I have not looked at the internals. I'll look at them now, but it suggests that the internals are good as well.
2.7 when the estimate on the consumer price index was 3.1. That would tell you inflation is down. But as Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis, will explain, you could take this whole thing and throw it in the trash. Did I say hello? I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. You can find us on YouTube, live streaming, Tony Katz. Be sure to do that, youtube.com/Tony Katz, or on the Twitter X at Tony Katz, Facebook, Tony Katz Radio. Doesn't matter, though. White House is going to say, see, cut interest rates and inflation still going down. We're doing a great job. The president does have a lot he can cheer. He does, and to say otherwise is just certifiably dumb. They've done a very bad job of messaging. And so what did we say on this show? What have we been saying on this show? We've been saying you got to get out there and lead the charge. This has been my issue with Scott Bessent. He's the adult in the room. No one can do it better than him. And I said the words. I said it to Sean Spicer. We found out that Scott Bessent heard about it, was none too pleased. Then it got brought up by Steve Bannon. He's sharing the clip of me talking about it, and then he was the one who referred to me as a stock Republican, which still is the nastiest thing anybody has ever said about me, ever in the history. So rude, Steve. Oh my gosh. But I at least take comfort in knowing that I was right and you are a sycophant. Stop being a sycophant. Be right. It's so much better. What with the being right and all, I was absolutely right. You have to message this story. You have to sell your story. You have to explain your story. And that's what the White House is doing. That's what they're doing. That's what President Trump was doing when he took to the microphone, when he said, listen, next spring, everything is scheduled to be super awesome, hunky-dory. You're going to absolutely love what's going on right here.
Here you will also see the results of the largest tax cuts in American history that were really accomplished through our great, big, beautiful bill, perhaps the most sweeping legislation ever passed in Congress. We wrapped 12 different bills up into one beautiful bill. That includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. Under these cuts, many families will be saving between $11,000 and $20,000 a year, and next spring is projected to be the largest tax refund season of all time.
Scott Bessent started saying that a couple weeks ago. That is a part of the message. Part of the message is, listen, we know we've done these tariffs and we know you've paid more, but here's how it's working. And here are the deals. And once those deals lead to dollars being invested in, not just talked about, but actual shovels hitting the ground because of growth, because of increases in construction, because they're building new plants, watch the boom. I have put a date to this, which is July 1st, right? The start of the third quarter. Now, one could argue that you don't get this information until the end, till sometime in July, and you get second quarter data. But my point, I think my argument is still clear. The White House has 6 months to engage, 6 months to discuss, 6 months to be able to sell their story versus the Democrat story of doom and gloom, and they have to be able to prove it in great measure. There are places in the story that Trump and the team are going to be able to sell. I'll sell it all day long. The border is safe and secure. My kids have a better chance at a safer future because Donald Trump is in office and because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were kept out of office. Fact. Fact. Airlines are working at better efficiency because Sean Duffy is the transportation secretary and Pete Buttigieg is nowhere around planes, never mind choo-choo trains. The war on drugs has gone from an actual bit of sloganeering to an actual bit of doing by declaring fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction and stopping its import into the United States, whether that be vis-a-vis going after Venezuelan drug boats or telling China those days are over. Advantage Trump. These are sellable things. Right now, oil prices on both the West Texas crude, right? So this is the barrel price. West Texas coming out of the ground. Brent, B-R-E-N-T, Brent crude coming out of the oceans. As of this morning, we're both under $60 a barrel. An ounce of silver costs more than a barrel of oil, which tells you that some people are still concerned about inflation, doesn't it? And they are. We should be clear about that. He's got to continue to beat that down. Continue to move that down. Certainly tariffs don't help, and the spending doesn't help. Now he's talking about the warrior dividend. I'm sorry, did he just say warrior dividend? The warrior dividend, says President Trump. And you say to me, Tony, listen, I know that you often talk about things and you get things before we do, but can anybody explain what the heck you're talking about here with the warrior dividend? Well, it's very simple. You serve in the military, you are going to get yourself a very, very large check. How large of a check? Well, how about $1,776 worth?
Along with the just passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tonight I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call warrior dividend before Christmas, a warrior dividend in honor of our nation's founding in 1776. We are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago.
Well, is that when you thought of it and decided to put it in the speech? I don't mind members of the military getting a bonus. I'd like to know what the structure is for getting the bonus. Where does the money come from? Does it come from the tariff money? I was told that the tariff money was going to pay down debt. Then you told me the tariff money was going to go to help farmers. Now the tariff money is going to soldiers. What's the matter, Tony? You don't like farmers? You don't like soldiers? Huh? I don't like the tariffs because I'm paying more. And now the president is utilizing it as a personalized slush fund for specific interest groups, which if a Democrat was doing, everybody on the right would be out of their minds. Don't get angry at me for noticing. Don't get angry at me for doing the thing called consistency. But I started with where I started. I have absolutely no idea if there's a system for them to get bonuses. Like, it might exist, and I don't know it. It's possible I don't know something. I know other radio hosts don't announce those kinds of things, but hey, that's their problem. If there's a system, there's a system. Also, $1,776. That's a little cute. That's a little cute. Why not $1,500? Why not $2,000? Why not $14 million a piece? $1,776. It's too cute by half. Too cute by half. But I'm not going to get upset with soldiers getting a bonus. I just know what people are going to say about it. So you're giving soldiers a bonus. That's a way of buying votes, like paying off student loans. Well, as long as we're now admitting that paying off the student loans that Joe Biden was doing was clearly a way of buying votes. Overall, I would have changed the tone of the speech. And certainly one could argue, that this was a weird reason to have a primetime address. But those weird reasons are going to fall away, and people won't remember that. What happened here was the president sounded the starting gun on here's how we're going to talk. Here's how we're going to talk about winning the midterms. We're going to discuss this economic success. We're going to discuss energy price success and bringing down gas prices. We're going to discuss all the money we've taken in with investments. We're going to discuss where these investments are going. We're going to talk about how it benefits people all across the country. We're going to talk about what we've done here and there and actually get into talking results, because we're not going to let Democrats run the table with this conversation about affordability when all they do is complain and their answer is free crap. Their answer to affordability is government-run convenience stores and grocery stores and rent control? What kind of child is going to fall for this? Oh, the kind of child who went to Columbia or Berkeley. Yeah, okay. Don't send your kids to Columbia or Berkeley. This is finally the right messaging. Now, not perfect. I think there's still some coordination to do here. But part of the problem has been that the people, whether it be in the administration or people out there in radio land or people out there in influencer land, they haven't had a direction to send this story into. And now what Trump has done, which is part of what leadership does, is said, this is the direction, this is the course. This is it. This is the way. Now everybody knows what it is we're talking about. Now everybody knows what it is that we're going to be doing. And he needed to do that. So to that end, an outrageous success. But I say July 1st. He has to be able to sell an economic vision and an economic story that gets Americans excited again. Because I absolutely believe that no matter what's going on or going wrong, or where people feel that costs are too high and that the pressure is too high, they absolutely believe deep in the recesses that they're better off with Trump there moving the levers than Biden or Harris, because they couldn't and they wouldn't know how, and they'd make things worse. This is a party that favors rent control. What the hell do they know? They're a party of Bernie Sanders. You think they know anything about economics? The only thing Bernie Sanders knows how to do is make millions of dollars for himself while stealing your money and having his wife bankrupt a college. That's it. He also knows where to get a very good deal on the mittens. That's all he's got. Which is really weird, because when you're wearing mittens, it's harder to reach into somebody else's pocket and take because you got the mitten, you're kind of like lobstering it, and you can't. It's hard to grab more with the fingers. You use that opposable thumb, you can really dig in and get all the cash right out. He's got till July 1st. He's got till July 1st to make this message work. And now people know how to go make the message. It's game on, people. Let's see where it goes from here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. All right, kids. First of all, tissues. Cold, still going on. So if I sound weird, it's me, not you. Secondly, I just did a hit of Affirming, which is not code. It was actually Affirming. It's supposed to clear like work on sinus congestion. Nah, not bad. Not bad at all. Good to be here. There was a really interesting comment. Or really interesting. Hold on, where is it? Here it is. First of all, what's up, man? What's up, Rod? Didn't injecting cash into the economy through the Wuhan payments cause inflation to skyrocket? Remember, we were talking about a whole series of things, massive amounts of dollars through the Inflation Reduction Act, through Infrastructure Acts. We were talking about money hand over fist. Never mind other payments. In this, we're talking about a smaller amount of payments to, in terms of the dollars, to a smaller group of people. So it won't have the same overall effect. Also, think of the levels of waste that got involved. So as a matter of top line argument, I get you. Like, that's a very smart observation. Wait, isn't this the kind of thing that causes problems? Which is why a lot of people noticed Trump didn't talk about the $2,000 for everybody from the tariffs, which I don't want. That's a mistake. That's a bigger issue. What am I wrong? You got to start pushing the economic agenda immediately. I think they had to start doing it 2 months ago. They have until July 1st to get the message done. If by July 1st they haven't gotten the message, they're going to lose the midterms. No, I think we're saying the same thing, man. I think we're on the same page, Matt. Just so we're clear. Back to the show. Another terrorist attack in Sydney, Australia was thwarted. What you had was the authorities there recognizing that there was a plan to do call it a double tap, a second hit on Bondi Beach. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything over at TonyKatz.com. There was an effort to engage a second hit. They were stopped by authorities. This happening in an area called Liverpool. Yes, it is indeed the same Liverpool. No, well, it's not. It's not the Beatles Liverpool. That would be in England, but same name. Tactical Operations Unit conducting the operation in the southwest Sydney suburb of Liverpool. And they had to ram a car to stop the car, pulled out 7 men. All of whom are, well, yeah. We'll find out. I mean, I can go by facial features. I can go by a series of things. Just like the 2 murderers there in Bondi Beach, Islamists. We're going to find out. I'll wait for information. They're trying to keep this on the very hush-hush. They really are. Maybe it's because they've got themselves a prime minister that has no actual interest in keeping people safe, no actual interest in the people themselves. Rather, in Australia, you have a prime minister, Anthony Albanese, who does this.
Today, I'm announcing a significant number of additional actions to build on the plan. Firstly, the Attorney-General and Minister for Home Affairs will develop a package of legislative reforms to crack down on those who spread hate, division and radicalisation. The National Security Committee has agreed that changes will include the following 5 points. Agreed changes will include 1. Aggravated hate speech offence for preachers and leaders who promote violence. Secondly, increased penalties for hate speech promoting violence. Thirdly, making hate an aggravating factor in sentencing crimes for online threats and harassment. Fourthly, developing a regime for listing organisations whose leaders engage in hate speech promoting violence or racial hatred. And fifthly, developing a narrow federal offence for serious vilification based on race and or advocating racial supremacy.
Or you could just remove the Islamists from your country. I mean, it's a theory. But now I want to see them go into the mosque and say, you, Imam, are engaged in hate speech when you say the Quran says that everyone must be a believer or be killed. I want to see what happens.
The Minister for Home Affairs will also have new powers to cancel or reject visas for those who spread hate and division in this country or would do so if they were allowed to come here.
The key is don't allow them to come here. He then wanted to go on to say, our diversity is our strength. No. Your strength is a culture that works and everybody buying into it. You bring parts of your own world with you, but you never think that it's more important than where you're at. You don't try and take over where you are, and yet that's what Islamists do. And that's why Islamists are incompatible with Western civilization, and that's why you have to say no to mass migration. That's it. Now, someone's going to call me an Islamophobe, and my answer is, don't care. These are the facts. Maybe if you stopped murdering people, no one would say this. Maybe if you stopped saying, we want to take over and all your children are going to be Muslim, things will be better. But we're going to notice what the Islamist does, and we should, as a society, fight. This is Tony Katz today. Hold on a second. That was a pretty big comment I saw right there. Hold on. Mike, it's a very large comment. I gotta do this. I am not a stupid person. Unlike some of his peers in the conservative infotainer and MAGA political worlds, he can't look at this 18-minute deluge of flailing anger, lies, and BS and rationalize as a good thing. At the same time, he can go no further than labeling it as a tactical disappointment. A good idea that could have been better. I assume you mean executed. Yeah. You think it's a disappointment. The difference between us, Mike, is that you hate everything about him. Doesn't make you rational. You can't be someone I look to be like, hey, how do you view this thing? You can't look at anything as good. The southern border has been shut down to illegal immigrants. Good or bad? Good or bad? I mean, that should be an easy yes-no kind of binary thing there. You can't say that. Yet you look at me and you talk about what I cannot say or cannot do. Listen to me carefully. You don't get to have some kind of moral authority on this. I can't convince you, and I'm not here to try. You hate the man. You hate everything about the man. You hate me. It's okay. I can't stop you. I wish you didn't. I wish you just looked at it honestly and rationally. You ever hate it when you clean your glasses and then they're worse than they were before? That just happened to me. You just can't do it. I think I'm pretty good at it. Right? Because I do this. I think if anything makes me different, it's the fact that I can. I get yelled at by Trump supporters. I get yelled at by Trump haters. I'm not supportive of Trump enough. I'm too supportive of Trump. Stop it. There are good things and there are bad things. I don't think you needed the primetime press conference for this. I really don't. But when you have the bully pulpit, you can do bully pulpit things. Everyone just needs to grow up, handle it. Nah, it wasn't presented well. It wasn't. He could have done better. I don't know. What do you want to yell at me about, Kenneth? I mean, if has anybody asked you what the frequency is recently? Whatever it is you want to yell at me about, go right ahead. The shoulders are broad, right? It can handle much. Feel free. Okay. There's that. And do I have everything? I have that. Hold on. I'm missing some stuff. Okay, here it is. Boom. I'll get there. Sorry, guys, just getting everything ready for you. All right, let's go. Oh, yeah, by the way, did we or did we not just talk about Dan Bongino yesterday? And yesterday he admits he's leaving. Everything at Brown University is a cluster, is an absolute disaster. What Brown University has shown us with all clarity is that everything that you see out of DEI is not a bug, it's a feature. If you put people who are inept in positions where the ineptness causes massive ripples, what you will get is ineptness. Said differently, if you put people who have no skills in positions where skills are necessary, the only thing you'll get is a bad result. If the Secret Service is run by somebody who was hired so they check a box as opposed to having a skill set of keeping high-profile protectees safe, you will fail to put somebody on a roof in a sightline of the President of the United States, and he will get shot. Just facts. If you take someone who has absolutely no skill set in dealing with wildfires and you put them in charge of emergency response in Lahaina, when the fire happens, the sirens will not go off, the roads will be blocked, and people will die. That's what happened. When you hire in a fire department, not to ensure that the leadership knows how to fight fires and the reservoirs are filled, but rather you hire to show that you have lesbians in the highest positions possible. Not lesbians who know how to fight fires, just lesbians. You will watch the Palisades burn. And of course, when you elect straight white liberal men into positions like governor and black straight women like Karen Bass into positions like mayor. By the way, I believe Karen Bass is heterosexual. I didn't want to get that wrong. In either case, you won't be able to rebuild because their ideology, regardless of their sexuality or any other characteristic, says we don't rebuild. These areas still have not rebuilt because they don't want to. They want to steal the land. They are incompetent people. When you hire for a characteristic and you do not hire for a skill set, when you do not hire people who know what they are doing, this is what you get. You get incompetence. It is not a bug. It is a feature. And at Brown University, the president, the provost, the police chief, never mind the police chief of Providence, Rhode Island, never mind the whole of Rhode Island, you get incompetence. Who killed these people? That's the question. Who walked into Brown University? Who killed Ella Cook? Who killed Mukhammad Umazorkov? Mukhammad is his name. Somebody alleged that I wasn't paying attention. I was only paying attention to Ella Cook. Why wasn't I paying attention to Umazorkov? Ella Cook seems to be the target here. Someone came in to kill this girl. That from the disjointed reporting. But to a point, I want to know who killed these people. Why don't we have answers? Why don't we have answers? Why is it that every time they are asked, they sound so incompetent? The question is asked to the Providence police chief. And you know what he says about investigations and looking into who has done this and taking a look at the witnesses? Oh, we're supposed to interview the witnesses?
And did the gunman come in from the back so these people never knew it was coming?
Check out this answer coming from the Providence police
That's all
chief.
part of the interviews, and actually we're cooperating with Brown to get the roster. That was a study hall, so we don't have the number. We're still getting information as far as who was there. I know Brown sent out an email to the students to notify us if they were present, and we're still getting that, so I can't give you an exact account.
That is the chief of police, Providence, Rhode Island, saying that 5 days after the murder of two people, they have not yet interviewed those in the classroom to get firsthand accounts of what happened, witness testimony, and possibly descriptions of a suspect. Ball game. Why is it that you can't vote for leftists? That's why. What level of incompetence is this? The incompetence is so great that the media is starting to notice, and they're saying, wait a second. You keep telling us that you've handed over all of the video footage. But we were told that there was no video footage.
We have 1,200 cameras located throughout the campus. We don't publish the locations of the cameras. That would give a map to somebody to evade detection on the cameras. So that would be counterproductive to do that. There are cameras in this building, and as I answered the previous question, we have turned over all evidence that we are holding at Brown to law enforcement and are cooperating fully with them.
So you're saying that there's a camera, you're saying there's cameras in the building. I was told yesterday there wasn't cameras in the building. The Attorney General said, old building, no cameras, attached to a new building with cameras.
I believe he said that there were two different phases of the building that might have two different levels of technology. Again, all video imagery has been turned over to law enforcement.
That doesn't make sense to a lot of people.
Of course it doesn't make sense. They don't know what they are doing. Brown University, oh, the Ivy Leagues. Screw the Ivy Leagues. There is no mind at the Ivy Leagues. There is only a narrative and an accepted premise. You know all those conversations the other day about they didn't have the cameras on or cameras active because they didn't want to be seen as targeting, for example, students who were in support of Palestine, which is to say students who wanted to kill Jews, and they didn't want to be able to turn that over to police, so they disconnected the cameras, turned off the cameras. Oh, they don't want to do that. They want to be on the good side. They let the students run everything, and the adults just show up. They're supposedly called professors to get a paycheck and not rock the boat. That's the deal. You let a 20-year-old run a university with an endowment of billions of dollars. Do you know how absolutely inept you have to be to do that? You have to be a progressive to do that. And we are not done. Because now you've got reporters saying exactly what I just said. You did not have those cameras working on purpose.
The camera in that building that Brown put up because the sanctuary city law that we have, you don't want to record illegal immigrants, and you don't want to provide the footage to the FBI or immigration authority. One camera in that building, it come out from your detectives, they are friends of mine, they're angry at this investigation that these people in Brown University put the camera off, they can identify that person. You imagine how the family want to go through? Tell the truth to the media here. Putting cameras off.
We heard from both the Brown police chief and the provost at Brown, who have shared that they have been fully cooperative and been forthcoming with all data and evidence that they have. The City of Providence's experience is the same, which is that Brown has been entirely cooperative and collaborative and fully sharing with us. We will be back here tomorrow.
End of the press conference. You have a reporter, Hispanic reporter has reported, saying you're not sharing everything. You're flat out lying. Police are infuriated. They are incompetent. They are incompetent. And the reason they are incompetent is because that is what is expected of them. They were not expected to have a mind. They were not expected to be prepared. You see, the comments that I get in the chat room, for example, is they just don't, he's asking, do they have anything? They just don't have anything. Oh, I don't believe that to be true. They're not sharing everything. That seems to be more true. They can't answer a question about whether cameras were on, cameras were off, cameras in the building, cameras not in the building. No, they didn't say this. They meant to say that. They said the other thing. The incompetence is a feature, not a bug. The incompetence is the goal, because the desire was never student safety. The desire was to ensure that illegal aliens are okay. And in order to ensure that, you can't work with police. You can't work with law enforcement. You can't provide information. No. Oh, well, you see, I thought that person was doing it. Oh, I thought that person was doing it. I guess the cameras weren't working. Oh, I thought the cameras were working. Maybe that was a different system. I'm so confused. You know, there's an email about that. Funny, somebody else has an email about that. Did those emails ever get answered? I don't know. I just sent the email. I did what I was told. Why would I ever follow up? That's not my job. No one takes responsibility. No one says, I've got this. Because that would be too much leadership. And in these circles, as we saw when Elise Stefanik called up the Harvard University president at the time, Claudine Gay, and a host of others, leadership is not the goal. Ensuring that progressives can scream how much they hate Jews seems to be the goal, and supporting those who want to burn down the American way of life is the goal. And this is why you don't send your kids to these colleges. Anybody who sends their child to Brown hates their kid. You hate your kid, you hate your daughter, you hate your son. You hate them. Of course. There's no other purpose, no other reason to send them to Brown. Same thing is true with Berkeley or Columbia or University of Michigan. That's right, I went after blue. That's absolutely the facts. Abusive here. Well, I shouldn't say abusive in terms of the system. This is what they do. Abusive is the wrong word. I think I was going for another word that I probably couldn't say on the radio, so I'm glad it came out as abusive. This is who they are. Inept, incompetent, incapable, and they want to be your betters. I am starting to fear we're not going to find out who did this to Ella Cook and who did this to Mukhammad Umarzokov. And that makes me sick. These people, these universities, they provide no value. Don't give them your money. I'm Tony Katz. Welcome back. Tony Katz today. I'm not going to lie. Right now, I don't know if I sound it. I don't know if I look it. The cold is winning. So yesterday I was actually doing the Eat, Drink, Smoke podcast, and halfway through it, and I've got a cold, but I'm still smoking the cigar. Don't ask. Halfway through it, I'm like, oh yeah, the voice is going to be gone. The voice is going to be gone tomorrow. Gone. I am amazed I still have one. Stunned. Shocked. I am going to chalk it up to all the bourbon. But I'm amazed. I feel like I'm dragging. Hopefully not. But I do. I feel like I'm falling down on the job. For sure. Just rough. Someone asked, did I fall in a well? I'm like, did I what? Did I? Do I sound like I'm in a well? I know, produce. Are we having an issue with how we sound on air? All right. You sound very metallic. I am not sure either. But they have a lot of work to do over there at the studio. Right? Oh, I would go, but I can't go. All right, so we've got that story. Does Biffle still drive? Okay. I am not AI, Dark Rogue. I am legit. I am right there. Someone said on WIBC I sound a little metallic. Dude, start sending out the emails. Let's go to work. All right. This is a horrifying story out of North Carolina. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Greg Biffle, former NASCAR driver. The story right now is that his plane, and I guess he has done a lot of flying, a lot of helicopter work, a lot of helping other people. There was a plane crash. It happened mid-morning, about 10:20 a.m. Eastern time, at an airport which is 45 miles north of Charlotte. It's called Statesville Regional Airport. Now, the way I have it listed, there are confirmed fatalities. I do not have anything as of yet, although it may be out there, about a confirmation about former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle. But the plane in question is owned by Biffle through GB Aviation Leasing, which lists the same address as him. Witnesses from a nearby golf club saying that the plane was, quote, way too low before it crashed, considering they probably see planes come in and land and take off all the time. There was fog in the area, as reported. There's an investigation happening. Don't have data yet. I mean, certainly it's a question that's going to be asked about, flying, safety, not safe. I still would assume safe, and I would not have an issue getting in a private plane at all. Do I have an issue with the props? Yes, but listen, there are plenty of planes that utilize props that are outrageously safe and incredibly good and luxurious and all the rest. It's sometimes it's not we have to dig deep. Sometimes just a bad thing happens. Now, I certainly hope for everybody's safety, but I don't know. Absolutely don't know here. Right now, nothing is looking good. There are no updates as of yet. Just what we know is that a plane that is owned by a former, maybe current NASCAR driver, I think it's former, Greg Biffle, I don't think he's been driving for a while, was involved in the crash. What caused it, what happened, all the rest. There's going to be more information. You're going to be seeing, sadly, a lot of this story. A tremendous amount. A lot to get to. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on putting an end to the madness of gender-affirming care. I've got that story and a $7 billion fraud. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz Today. So here's what we've got. We are in the radio break, so we will take the break right here. I've got a bunch more for you. They're not good pictures, man. It is not good at all. Whew. We're in the commercial break. We'll take the break right here. Smoke them if you got them. Hang loose, and we'll be back in a few minutes. And that's the deal. Oh, by the way, have you gotten your tickets? Tickets.tonykatz.com. It's gonna be so good. I cannot wait. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Get them. The bourbon, the food. Trump 1 year later. We're going to get fancy. We're going to talk the highs, the lows, and what it takes to win the midterms. Trump 1 year later, Red Tie Gala. The highs, the lows, what it takes to win the midterms, how to win the midterms. I've got it all for you. It's going to be sensational. I want you there. So be there. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Right now, smoke them if you got them. Hang loose, and I'll be back in a little bit. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. A lot to get to in the second hour, including I caught the press conference from Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy, regarding putting an end to gender-affirming care and the madness, and, of course, some commentary from Chloe Cole, who I've had on the show before when I was broadcasting from the Conservative Political Action Conference. A young girl who was convinced to be believed or convinced to believe that she was a boy, and double mastectomies at 15, just abused, and then realized this isn't what I want, and detransitioned. And when one of the things that happens with detransitioners is they get completely ignored. That so-called loving community where love is love and all the rest. Oh, they got no time for someone who realizes I made a mistake. Good gosh. I mean, I'm watching her have this conversation. I'm eye to eye, and it's horrifying. Horrifying. So I will get that to you. Not only what was said by RFK, but what was said by a little bit of what was said by Chloe Cole. So I've got that story for you. And now I also have, let me see if I can find it here. I don't think anything, there's no press conference today. Really? There's no press conference today. All right, well, fine. Be that way. I had something else for you, and I cannot recall what that is right now. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Oh, I do have a Target update story. Do I have to talk about Candace Owens on Piers Morgan? No. Yes. No, maybe. Okay, by the way, producer Landon, there's a definitive problem with our home station, WIBC. I need people screaming about it. I don't care about the other stations. They don't mean anything to me. You can't hear anything on the Soft Rock station. Don't care. I want this fixed. Thank you. By the way, Soft Rock station is lovely, but I gotta get this done. Okay. Let me just send a note. So let's talk fraud. Some $7 billion worth of Snap fraud. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Live streaming on the YouTubes. YouTube.com/Tony Katz. And hope to see you January 24th. Trump 1 year later. The highs, the lows, and how we win the midterms. I am going to get you full of bourbon, make you happy, and make you think. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Thanks to Premier Arms, PA Jewelers, and DefianceBeef.com for making this happen. More sponsors coming on every day. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Come join me January 24th, downtown Indianapolis, the Hyatt Regency. Come on out for the night. It's going to be a good time. You're going to meet great people, and you're going to have a lot of laughs. It's going to be spectacular. When I put on a show, Tickets.TonyKatz.com. The bourbon, the food, the everything. I hope to see you there. In Massachusetts, men charged with nearly 7 million. Did I say billion? I meant million. It doesn't matter. in SNAP fraud. We're talking about supplemental nutritional plan there. We're talking about how food stamps are manipulated. Federal authorities in Massachusetts charging 2 men with a fraud $7 million food stamp scheme. This is part of what they say is a Trump administration-led effort to crack down on fraud in government. They operated some stores in the city, which were reimbursed for SNAP benefits far beyond what would be reasonable for their size. One of the shops redeeming $500,000 in a single month. They were exchanging benefits. Here, you claim this and 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 you claim this. Now, I'd like to know more about the men in question. Here's what I know. Both are Haitian immigrants, one a U.S. citizen and the other a lawful permanent resident. Okay. Well, the lawful permanent resident has to be deported, but first jail, and a lot of jail. A tremendous amount of jail. Jail for everybody. But the one who is a citizen, they became a citizen? I think that there might be a reason to lose your citizenship there. If you became a citizen, what do you do in that situation? How does one handle that situation? The fraud problem is real. And we should be clear, there are plenty of Americans who engage in fraud. That is not the argument. The argument that often gets made is, you talk about people who are here legally committing crimes. More crimes are committed by people who are here legally, by citizens, than by people who are here by other means. Whoa. You have more citizens than non-citizens, so therefore, as a matter of percentage, more crimes will be committed by citizens than non-citizens. The argument is you could eliminate 100% of the crimes by non-citizens if you didn't allow them in the country. That's math. I'm happy to help. You could end this. But the manipulation of government programs, and when government programs pay out this kind of money, usually what you hear from the left is, my gosh, these programs are so important. We can't cut these. We have to give more to these programs. We are not a better nation because we have more people on programs. That's Bernie Sanders stupid. It's an ignorant thing to say. I often remind people about Bernie and his foolishness. And what I remind them of is that Bernie Sanders is the guy who once stated that breadlines are good things. Now, you think I'm kidding. This is him in his younger days. Bernie Sanders.
It's funny. Sometimes American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing. In other countries, people don't line up for food. The rich get the food and the poor starve to death.
If you want to know why I'm not a communist, there you go. Because only a communist could listen to that and say, that makes sense. Every other rational person says, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Until, of course, the next time Bernie Sanders speaks. I know this upsets progressives, but Bernie Sanders is a nobody who has never done a thing. You think Donald Trump has never accomplished anything? I've heard this before. It's hilarious. Donald Trump allows all those limousine liberals in Manhattan to exist. His contributions to that city, to that skyline, have brought in billions and billions of dollars. Not only the jobs created, but the rent rolls created. What did Bernie Sanders create except debt and a wake of destruction and a destroyed college by his wife? Nothing. What has Ilhan Omar created except incredible wealth for herself? Lord only knows at the expense of whom. Nothing. Rashida Tlaib? Nothing. Ocasio-Cortez? Nothing. She's gotten something accomplished. She got elected to Congress. Bartender to Congress? Man, America's a great place. What has she created? Ungats. And she then looks at people who create and say, how dare you? You should give me more. And Bernie stands there and says, bread lines, good things. These fraud issues must be dealt with. And I'm thrilled to see that we're now looking into them. Because we need to. You're going to sit here and somehow accept that this is just the way it is? How foolish. But foolish is the name of the game. Just like the people who look at these kinds of programs and say, see, we need to continue to grow these programs. This brings us to Michelle Obama. I know what you're saying, Tony. Why? Why? I thought you were our friend. I thought you loved us. Hey, it's not like I'm talking about Candace Owens. Oh, wait, that's next? This is Candace's. I talk about Candace. Okay. All right. So clearly I'm not a very nice guy today. You have got Michelle Obama on MS Now, which I guess people are now calling Ms. Now. I don't think it's a compliment. And she's on with Jonathan Capehart. Jonathan Capehart, was he with the Washington Post? He left the Washington Post, and they had themselves a sit down, don't you know?
You write this. When you're a woman in the public eye, you're often reduced first and foremost to your physical appearance. You also write, if someone wants to take something away from a woman, they will try to rob her of her femininity, her beauty. We have current examples of this right now, particularly aimed at
surprise.
At
And
female
I had written
reporters.
the book before that, before all that.
Right. Why does it persist? What will it take to shame folks into stopping what you described there?
You know, look, we have to pick leaders that don't do that. You know, I mean, look, it is hard to. I can't get into the minds of people who are cruel and mean. My empathy in me says that comes from a place of brokenness and insecurity, and at a certain stage in life, it is not fixable. It is, planted in there.
That's exactly how I feel about the editors of Vanity Fair. How is it possible you don't have Melania Trump on your cover? That's a real hatred of women right there. Don't take a look at her as a former model. Don't take a look at her as somebody who understands fashion. Don't take her as somebody who is first lady and has her own level of quasi-icon status. Like you, Michelle Obama, who is not a model and knows nothing of fashion, but you have a quasi-icon status. And don't put her on the cover of Vanity Fair because of Donald Trump's politics. Maybe there are things worse than what you're describing. And maybe possibly what you're describing doesn't actually exist. Now, hold on. Do we look at women as men and say attractive or not attractive? Here, allow me. Yup. Do I apologize? Nope. I notice when women are attractive. I notice when they're not attractive. I notice when they're tall. I notice when they're short. I notice when they're fat. I notice when they're thin. And I notice when they're built just right. I don't apologize for noticing. Oh, and for the ladies who work out in the gym with the very low cut tops and the yoga pants and then scream about why are you all staring at me? Shut up. And certainly don't take video of yourself while this happens and then post it and then get angry that we're looking again. Stop. Just stop. We get it. You want to be the center of attention, but you don't want anybody to look at you. Weird. The issue is not whether or not you're attractive. The issue is whether or not you're competent. If you want to be a leader, you have to be competent. Ayn Rand is amongst the ugliest people I've ever seen. But Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead are must-reads. Your move. this argument that someone's trying to take your femininity. What is it that you're actually looking for? Everything? You're telling me that women are just like men, women are equal to men, but you also have to do these things. How about women and men are different and we should always notice it, that it's important and it's valuable. And that while I teach my kids to hold the door open for people, I always teach my kids to hold the door open for a woman. Because that's just the way it's done. I'm raising men, not heathens, and you hold the door open. And when my boys joke with me, it's a little different than how they're allowed to joke with their mother. And I have told them so very directly. There are rules. But the argument is what? You're not allowed to be a leader because someone notices how you look? This is your conversation? Have it with leftists, not us. We're not your problem. We're not voting for you anyway. Your policies are terrible. But your people aren't voting for you. By the way, your people are liberals. Could we please not do that to me? And they're not voting for you because they have no faith in you. They don't believe in you, and they don't believe in Kamala Harris, and they didn't believe in Hillary Clinton. Maybe it's your politics. Maybe it's because the people you've put up to vote for are frauds. Maybe it's because they're unlikable. Maybe it's all those things. We have to pick leaders who don't rob women of their femininity. This is the argument that the left is having. Well, I guess this is the way you keep suburban white women voting for you. It's not a conversation in America. It's not a serious one. You can let somebody else rob you of your femininity or your masculinity? Weird. Not strong. Weird. All right. What happened with Candace Owens and Piers Morgan? I've got that story coming up. This is Tony Katz Today. It is not my fault that I have to talk about Candace Owens. No. Don't get angry with me. I'm telling you, it is not my fault that this has to happen. But it indeed will happen. Tony Katz. Yeah, I feel your pain. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Oh my God. Her audience is huge. It's shameful, but it's huge. And a lot of them are unhappy with her for having this sit down with Erica Kirk of Turning Point. And like, oh, you're a fraud. Oh, you sold out. Oh, we can't trust you anymore. And people are like, look at how these people are turning on her. Did anybody notice that all these people were paying to comment $1, $5, $20, $100? They're sending her money. She's making bank. It's crazy. But she goes on with Piers Morgan. And I'm going to now play for you the clip that I think sums up the whole thing. If you want to sum up what it is that's going on with Candace Owens, here. I think I've got it all clean, but finger on the dump button, producer Landon, just in case. Here you go. This is from Piers Morgan Uncensored.
And I think we're going to see the same thing with Brigitte Macron and you, is that he was weaponizing deliberate lies for money. And I think you
Brigitte
did that.
Macron has a penis. I really want you to know
Brigitte Macron
that.
does not have a penis.
Brigitte Macron has a penis.
No, she doesn't.
I'm sorry.
She had 3 children.
Did she get it removed?
She had 3 children.
Yeah, you can have adoptive children. You can call somebody, but Brigitte Macron was born a dude named Jean-Michel Trogneau.
Well,
and
yeah. Am I now a party to a lawsuit because I play that? Can I hear from the legal department, please? Anybody? Help? That's her. That's her. Hey man, listen, whatever that lawsuit is, go enjoy. Go enjoy every single bit of that one, and we'll see what happens. But there was a moment in this interview where Candace Owens says verbatim that Turning Point USA was complicit in the murder of Charlie Kirk. And then, when confronted with it by Piers Morgan, she says, I never said that. And there's a really interesting question about whether or not you want the Candace Owens type in your coalition. A lot of talk about coalition, right? Trump put together a coalition to win the election. We got to keep the coalition together. I ask you right now, I need Candace Owens in the coalition? Never mind the insanity about Brigitte Macron, who is a weird-looking person for sure. And Candace is not the first person to make this claim, by the way. The internet is chock full of claims. But she literally said Turning Point USA was complicit, and in the same 5 minutes, she goes, I never said that. Do we need her in the coalition? Do we need her? Do we need the people who follow her? Can we win elections without her? Can we win the midterms without her? Can we win the midterms without Tucker? Can we win the midterms without the Nick Fuentes types? I argue the answer has to be, well, we have to. We have to. We have to win without them. And I believe I can prove how. I also believe I've got an interesting theory on how to keep some of them. And that's all part of what I'm doing January 24th. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. But I don't think I need the Candace supporter as one of mine. I think I'm good. This is Tony Katz today. Oh, Lord, oh, Lord, oh, Lord. So, let's see if I have this, and I can grab the video file. And where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's there. And then where do I have? There. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Groovy. Yeah. So I will have what Robert Kennedy said about gender affirming care. I've got that coming up. Chloe Cole coming up. Good things all the way around. All right. Oh, it's good. See, Kenneth, I have discussed that before. But I've discussed it differently than the way you're putting it. See, the way you're saying it, that's going to get me in trouble. All right. I didn't even get to the part where Candace Owens says that Brigitte Macron probably pees standing up. I seem to have purposely not done that. I have my reasons. Meanwhile, I am getting ready for a little time off, a little actual vacation. Lately, I've taken some time off, but it's been all work related and gearing up for 2026. And next few days will be a little more at ease, a little more nothing. Yeah, my nose looks chopped, doesn't it? Look at you with the slang. My nose looks chopped. It does. Stinks. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about it. Stinks. Drink juice. I've been having vitamin C, but I don't drink juice. So, sorry. All right, here we go. Don't be alarmed. I'll be right back.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you to all the officials who are joining us today, and I'm going to acknowledge many of you by name. It's a long list. Chairman of the Federal Trade Commission, Andrew Ferguson.
And as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says, welcome everybody in the long, long list of people. I welcome you, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. I was able to catch Secretary Kennedy's press conference on child health care policy. Marty Makary is there from the FDA, Dr. Oz, who runs Medicare, Medicaid services. There is no question and no doubt that what RFK has done in terms of MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, that has caught fire. People are excited about it. Dyes out of food, additives out of food, more honest conversations about autism. And I'm not saying that vaccines cause autism. I am saying that a society that doesn't allow for conversation is a society that fails and fails all of us in every single way. It does. And is that Chloe Cole I see? So Chloe Cole is an insane story about a young girl who was allowed to transition to be a boy and then realized, I'm miserable. This isn't right. This is a problem. Transitioned back and found a better life. And I have interviewed Chloe before, and to look in her eyes, and the story is horrifying. So if we're going to hear from her, I absolutely want to hear it in every single way. There is no doubt that he is winning this, and that's why he in polling is more popular than President Trump and others. It makes perfect sense on every single level that he is. And so he is speaking and going to be engaging with this audience about healthcare, and I wanted to bring some of it to you.
HHS Office of the Assistant Secretary for Health last month confirms that sex-rejecting procedures impose medical dangers and lasting harm on children who receive these interventions. So today we are taking 6 decisive actions guided by gold standard science and the week 1 executive order from President Trump to protect children from chemical and surgical mutilation.
Excellent.
This morning I signed a declaration. Sex-rejecting procedures are neither safe nor effective treatment for children with gender dysphoria.
Overjoyed. Could not be more factual, more honest, and more clear. Good. Gender-affirming care is not care. It's a license to abuse children, mutilate children, and those people should be thrown in jail, in my view, but certainly have to be stopped.
Are out of compliance with these standards of health care. This declaration is a clear directive to providers to follow the science and the overwhelming body of evidence that these procedures hurt, not help children. Additionally, CMS is proposing 2 new rules. The first rule will bar hospitals that participate in Medicare and Medicaid, which is almost every hospital, from performing these dangerous and harmful procedures.
Excellent.
The second rule prohibits the federal Medicaid dollars from funding the sex-rejecting procedures on minors.
Absolutely.
The FDA is issuing warning letters to 12 manufacturers of breast binders, which are medical devices used for purposes such as assistance in recovery from cancer-related mastectomies. The FDA is telling these companies that the illegal marketing of breast binders to children for the purpose of treating gender dysphoria commits significant regulatory violations and requires swift congressional or corrective action.
I am overjoyed. Remember, in this conversation, while it's a mental issue with adults, we are always talking about children. And I can talk about adults. But children cannot do this. They cannot make these kinds of decisions. They can't decide their gender because no one can. And they cannot be aided and abetted by adults who want to do them harm. We call them child abusers, and we should push back on them with massive force. This is good news. This is a society's taking a stand. We don't do those things here. And the people who want to do those things, the progressives who want to do those things, they're wrong. And we should say so. And we don't care what they say and what they scream. I say, let's fight. These are our kids we're talking about. If you ain't going to fight for this, what exactly are you going to fight for? They think they're tough. I don't think they're nothing. They're going to sit there and scream that the trans kids are kids too. Kids are kids. Stop trying to make them trans. Stop trying to tell them that they can be a girl when they're a boy or a boy when they're a girl. Stop lying to them. Stop feeding into their mental illness. It's sick. It's twisted. You're wrong. It's shameful. And if you won't stop, we'll just stop you. That's what a free and thinking people does. They protect children. They don't abuse children. No society can be a society if they abuse children. It cannot be done. This is excellent, excellent news from the Secretary and his team.
Admiral Brian Christine today signed a public health message to inform healthcare providers, families, and policymakers that current evidence does not support claims that puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries are safe and effective treatments for pediatric gender dysphoria. These announcements are grounded in evidence and shaped by compassion. President Trump has made child protection a national priority. The Make Our Children Healthy Again strategy demonstrates that commitment. Sex-rejecting procedures rob children of their futures.
Anybody who says that hormone therapy, right, puberty blockers, well, it's reversible. You just go off them and everything's fine. It's not fine. You've already engaged in a rejection of puberty. And the body cannot then catch back up. It's not how it works. You have altered the body for forever. It isn't reversible. It is a lie told by liars that want children to be abused. I don't believe in supporting child abuse. I believe in fighting people who abuse children. So they stop and they never do it again. Dear Lord, we put these people on a registry. We put them on a list if they live in our neighborhoods. I think if you're a doctor who performs this stuff, boom, back on the list. You say to me, Tony, did you just say lists? I'm talking about children here. I'm not talking about somebody's politics. I'm not talking about their own with another adult sexual proclivities. I don't care. I don't care what you're into in the bedroom. You do you, boo-boo. Children, I care a lot. And the freaks on the left are like, why are you always obsessed with other people's bodies? Why am I obsessed with you wanting to touch a child's body? I don't know. Because I'm normal. Because I'm a decent human being who knows that my job as an adult is to protect children. More often than not from themselves, but certainly from predators like people who want to abuse them. Back to Secretary Kennedy.
The moral obligation to do no harm. There is divine worth in every person, and it shines most brightly in our children. That worth commands us to protect them. And as long as I serve as HHS Secretary, this agency will do so. Thank you all very, very much.
That was weird. The audio just cut out. That was very strange. Very odd how that just happened. You know, you don't usually want that to happen, as there were more conversations to take place from the Secretary of Health and Human Services there, and from Dr. Oz, who runs Medicare Medicaid services. I cannot say it enough. I cannot be more engaged in what it is that we're discussing here. You quite simply cannot have a society where children are abused and say nothing and do nothing. And every conversation about gender affirming care, every single one, was built and created to keep you silent so they could go about doing what they do. Including every conversation of, if you don't allow these children to mutilate themselves, they'll commit suicide. It was a lie then, it was a lie now, and they're liars and they're still lying. Suicide doesn't come from this idea of you won't let me do something. It comes from unhappiness. It comes from not knowing how to live with oneself and one's issues, and to not see the way out and not know how to work through that to the better tomorrow, which does indeed exist. I'm living proof. I am living proof that these things are real, that you can overcome it. But I do want to share with you the part of the conversation with Chloe Cole. I'll get to that in just a moment. But I was sharing some updates on Greg Biffle, NASCAR driver, and this plane crash that took place in North Carolina, and the plane is linked to Biffle. So it's still owned. We know the plane is owned by him, but we don't know all the details. We're hearing that Biffle was on the plane that crashed and there were no survivors there in North Carolina. We're still waiting on levels of confirmation. So with that, I just wanted to, if this is happening, I just wanted to give as much update on it as I possibly can. When we come back, I will have the commentary from Chloe Cole that you absolutely have to hear. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back. Good to be with you. Tony Katz today. There's been a lot of talk in the chat room about whether or not I'm hot. Wait, or is it about Freddie being hot? All I know is all of you, just, I don't know, keep your pants on during the show. If you could do that, greatly appreciate it. Democrats have released more Epstein photos. And these photos include Bill Gates, Sergey Brin, that's Google founder, Woody Allen, of course, Noam Chomsky, and Steve Bannon. What do you want me to say? Lots of people knew Jeffrey Epstein. Doesn't mean that they did anything wrong. Doesn't mean they were on the island. Doesn't mean they abused any girls. It doesn't mean any of that. So what do you want me to do with a bunch of photos? I'm not gonna do anything with them. I'm not going to say anything. There's nothing. But people knew him. It doesn't mean they did anything wrong. And that's where we can't just simply engage. We got to be like, no, we're not going to be a part of that. That's imperative. Imperative that we keep that in mind. That we don't just say, oh, look at the photo, therefore they're guilty. No. Are they actually guilty of anything? That's the question. The only question that counts. I won't engage in anything else about it. No way. Not I. All right. Coming back to the show, and I've got this part with Chloe Cole that I want to play for you. So keep it right where you are. Where are we, producer Landon? Yep. Stay right there.
It's an honor to be here and to be able to speak on behalf of American children whose innocence and health are being compromised, whose lives are being ripped apart.
Is Chloe Cole, Tony Katz today. She tells the story of being transitioned and then detransitioning and the horror show they're in. Anybody who supports gender affirming care, stop and listen to this.
And medical system that have harmed us. I've become an advocate for protecting children from what is often mistakenly referred to as gender affirming care, because it is by no means care, but unscientific medical abuse that violates every tenet of medical ethics.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This ideology is festering at an unimaginable scale within our hospital systems, our culture, our communities, and to many within our own families. For me, it started with being lied to about who I was by adults outside of my family. I was made to feel that the way that God beautifully made me was in fact a mistake. A mistake that could only be fixed by so-called modern medicine. My doctors, rather than guiding me, they affirmed my childish misgivings about my developing body. My belief that I wasn't just a tomboy, that if I liked having short hair, if I liked being around the boys more, if I behaved more like my older brothers, I actually was a boy who just so happened to be born in a girl's body. At 13 years old, I was administered puberty blockers and testosterone in high doses. And when I was only 15, they removed my breasts. My questions about whether I will be able to have children or about the future of my reproductive health and my overall health have gone unanswered. But that mastectomy ensured that I am never going to be able to nourish whatever children I may have. And this happened before I was even mature enough to understand that one day I would aspire to become a mother. Because of the moral failings of my doctors, I forever have lost significant parts of my identity as a now adult woman while I was still a child.
I have spoken to her eye to eye, and it is heartbreaking. And the story she tells is the story of abuse and of doctors who failed, and they're not good and they're not decent. And they should, in my view, lose their licenses. This is full-on abuse. This is torture. This is disfigurement. And no, never a conversation about the future or these kids. No. Only worry about how you feel right now. We don't want to think about your future. And whenever anybody detransitions, they are immediately cast aside. Nobody wants to deal with this reality. That's the truth. They don't want to deal with the reality of what they have done and what they are doing to kids. Any chance to hear Chloe Cole speak, I try and make that happen. I try and make that happen because it's the manipulation. And why did I favor redistricting? Because you think I want these people to be in office? Look what they're willing to say okay to regarding kids. And if people are offended by that, I think the offense is what you're willing to say okay to about abusing kids. I don't have to apologize. You do. Good God. There's more show. Keep it right here. This is Tony Katz Today. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Kids, you're pretty fantastic. I appreciate you. I will not be here tomorrow. It has begun. Little time away for me. There will be videos over at TonyKatz.com, and I think I'll be still doing some stuff, some streaming, and some other work because you can never get away from it. There's so much going on. But don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Head on over there, and if you're not already there, youtube.com/TonyKatz. And then get your tickets right now. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Trump 1 year later. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be such a good time. Cannot wait to bring it to you. It's going to be fantastic. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Get your tickets right now. I appreciate you. I thank you. This isn't the end. I'm back before the year is out. I'm not taking that much time. No. I still work for a living, for sure. Appreciate you guys. Keep it here, and don't forget to check the YouTube channel daily and subscribe. We've got more things coming. TonyKatz.com, of course. I'll catch you later. All right. Take care, guys.